Hey guys, welcome to a brand new video. So the new AATROX is finally coming out now. It'll be on the PBE tomorrow, I think, and then it'll be actually hit the game in like 2 weeks time. Basically, I wasn't really going to do anything about this. I didn't touch the trailer that was released earlier. I wasn't going to touch this either, but actually it's really good. This is the first rework that I'm kind of like actually a little bit excited for. I know I main AD and stuff, but it really looks like Riven. They've taken what made Riven really cool. They've taken what makes a few other champions really cool, and they've slotted everything together while actually still making AATROX, I guess, if that makes sense. You'll see what I mean in a second. So let's go down to his abilities, and we'll get through this as quick as possible. So his passive is going to be this thing where, actually, if you attack, like he's going to attack here, he leaves this little mark on them. It's actually going to cut healing, and also it's going to cut heals and shields. So anything, like if Rework uses Q, for example, it would cut that as well. But you can see Jano is going to hit shield him right now. And that is such a baby shield for like level 11 Jana. That's going to be like full max rank E. So this is something that we don't actually have at the moment. Like we don't have a shielding cutting mechanic that like prevents the shield. Irelia is the only other thing that's kind of similar. But hers is like, I'm going to shred this shield a bit faster, if that makes sense. By the way, the link to this will be down below if you want to check it out for yourself. That's perfectly fine. But we'll go through, and there's some really cool stuff that you guys are going to see, like how it's kind of Riven 2.0. Like it's an upgraded version of what Riven can do, because he doesn't even die, and then he can move around as well. It's really weird. But anyway, so this is passive. You can decrease the cooldown of this by using your other spells and also hitting the end point of his Q, which will make sense in a second. But yeah, so you reduce the heals, you reduce the shields. Actually, really, really powerful mechanic. If you jump on an AD carry or something, and they're trying to protect him with a Lulu or a Janna or something like that, not going to be able to work. So it's a really good thing for a bruiser. So this is why it's Riven. That's the first Q. That's the second part of your Q. And here is going to be the third part of your Q. Exactly like Riven, just a more upgraded version, because it does bonus damage in this little... You see at the tip here, I definitely should not have said tip with the shape of that. But just like the end part of that, you see a little box, right? If you hit that person in there, it's going to do bonus damage. It's also going to knock them up as well. It does actually significantly more damage. So... normally I don't use that word. Riot's really picky with how they say things, so it should do a ton more basically. But that is the first part of it here. Second part is like a wider cone, and then you're going to have this AoE one in the middle. But you can see like he did a ton of damage. I don't know what items he had and stuff, of course, but that shows you just how much damage this is going to be. This is what you will you'll max first. So you see how you can kind of like, it is just like a Riven's 3-part Q, right? But just a bit more complicated. It's going to make a lot more sense because you can use this with his E, which is kind of broken in my opinion. It's crazy. But he has this vortex field here now. Pulling back the Kai'Sa, it chains a large monster or a champion, so not normal minions. But you see how actually, like I can pause it halfway through here, and you see the little chain on the Kai'Sa and the little center point. That's going to be where she's pulled back to. That's how you know. And if you break the chain, I guess obviously you know you're not going to fly backwards or anything like that. So this is utility, probably what you're going to max last. This is really just some crowd control for him to stick to people. He doesn't really have like too much mobility. Well, yeah, actually he does have quite a lot, honestly. But this is like bruisers have some kind of mechanic that lets them hit people basically, like an Irelia stun or a Jack stun. He doesn't have a stun. He has a knock-up, I guess, like 3 of them, but this is going to be the thing that pulls everybody in to give him a bit more utility, right? Now, his E is really interesting because there's 2 parts to it. AATROX heals for a portion of the damage he deals, not just auto-attacks anymore like we had with the old AATROX, where he would just auto-attack and spam, you toggle it on for damage or whatever. It's just going to heal straight now for everything, so abilities and all of that stuff. I wonder if it will work with the items. It'd be pretty cool if it would work with something that you have there, like a Sheen, I guess. I don't know if that will happen. It's kind of, that'll be a bit broken, but... who knows with Riot anymore. But he actually has 2 dashes now as well. So this is what I mean by like, he has a lot of mobility. There's 1, there's 2. You have 2 charges. You can use them both straight away. You can use just one of them. It'll constantly recharge, so it's pretty much up to you. But the really big thing, this is actually going to demonstrate the healing here. So that's an auto attack. This is the Q, Q, and Q again. And you see he actually is healing for a decent chunk. So it's not as crazy as like you spam autos and you can heal for a ton, but you can use everything and heal for a ton, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's going to be that. But one thing I want to show you, actually, you know what? Let's finish his ultimate, then I'll show you, because there's a way you can use that with his Q. This is kind of busted. So his ultimate is going to be a lot like Swain. Look at this guy right now. Tell me that doesn't look like Swain, like the new Rework Swain, which we just had, by the way. So I don't know. It's kind of borrowing from that, but still. Basically, when you activate this ultimate, you're going to take on massive wings, you transform, you fear nearby minions, which you can't see right here, increase your move speed, and if you go out of combat, then that move speed is going to be reactivated as well. But he actually increases his overall damage and gains a blood well that stores health over a world's end of duration, reviving him if he takes fatal damage while in his true form. So he does a load of extra damage, he has bonus move speed, he fears nearby minions, and he doesn't die, basically. So, yeah, there we go. He's going to revive. Now, there's an extra part of this where you can actually move while he's reviving. You're not stuck like Guardian Angel, which, when I watched this, I thought was a bug, but you'll see in a second. So, the part that we didn't talk about with his E is you can actually use it with his Q. So, you can dash here like this, but you can also chain, like, combo them together, like, with this. So, you actually have a lot more mobility than it seems like, if that makes sense. Normally, I mean, it doesn't really seem like you have a ton of mobility in this kit, but when you combine the fact that you can use your Q and move around a whole team fight, as well as dashing at the same time, if that makes sense, like you actually have a lot more. So just to recap his kit one more time, he's going to have this auto attack, which cuts healing and shields as well. So when it's applied on your first auto attack, it's actually going to have increased range, yeah, and deals a percentage of the target's maximum health as damage. So I didn't even touch on that before because the main part of it is the healing and shielding debuff, but it actually does like a huge chunk extra of damage, and obviously you reduce it with other spells, with the M part of his Q as well. But the shield cutting mechanic is just insane, honestly. You dive into a team fight, you apply it. There's nothing else in the game like this. It's a completely unique mechanic to AATROX. Pretty ridiculous, but there you go. Also makes him, by the way, really good at dueling tanks, because he chunks them out there with a good auto attack, and then he can go back to farming or whatever. So we got his Q, which is basically Riven. The first one in the box is pretty small, second one really wide, and then the third one is a circle AoE. You're going to do more damage, and you're going to knock them up if you can actually target them. So it's kind of like lending a bit from Darius, if that makes sense. You know how you have to like aim his Q properly to actually heal. Kind of the same thing, but just obviously a little bit different. That's going to be your main thing here. Then you've got your W, which is basically just going to drag somebody back in. It's actually a lot like Victor's W, if you think about it. This is why it's so weird. His ultimate's like Swain. His Q is like Riven. His E is kind of like, I don't know, honestly. What is his E like? Like a Lucian or something like that? Like dashing. That's how, like the same icon and stuff really looks like it. But yeah, anyway, so you got this, and that'll pull him back. Then you've got his E, which will heal, but obviously the part we're looking at right now is the dash. Can go over walls. It's pretty small though. It's more like a Graves or a Lucian E, as we said. Like it's not really gonna it's not gonna massive dash, but you've got two of them at least. The store, which is good, and then he will be healing from all his auto attacks. Not sure about items, we'll see soon, and obviously then he heals from his abilities as well. But the part that, and finally, sorry, his ultimate is going to turn into his massive form, gain a ton of extra damage, move speed, fear nearby enemy minions, and he can't die. He can revive. But whatever, let me just show you this, because this clip is where you really start to get an appreciation of what you can do. Now, watch the first time he does this. So he activates his Q here, and his E. You see, he's not even in range to hit his Q, and then he dives forward with his E. There we go, and he gets in range. So completely takes it by surprise. Uses W to bring him back into his another Q, and then his final one. But she was actually full health. Look at this. Full health. I know he's double buffs. I don't know what items he has. It doesn't really matter. But that is a lot of damage there. That is a lot of damage that he's able to put out. And especially if he hits them in the middle. His second Q doesn't really do much, but his third one does a ton because it's right in the direct center. Okay, so he's going to dive in here. He's going to land his first auto attack, which is cutting this shield and everything. He's now going to activate his ultimate. He uses his Q and his E again to dive in a bit further, which is crazy. Watch this. Okay, he's in his passive right now. Well, his like ultimate thing where he's reviving, okay, because he's actually dead. Or he should be dead right now. And look, he's moving. He's literally running around still, chasing the Malphite. So not only can you revive, but you can move while you're reviving. Then he comes back in with his Q again. First part, second part, and there we go. We can actually watch the last little part of this because this is his Q here, right? He uses his final part, and then what is this? Like, that is 3 seconds. That is a 3-second cooldown, I'm pretty much, on his Q right now. We have to go back and watch the first part, sorry, again. So, last part here, okay, that's a 35 seconds. 37 and a half he uses. So that's like a 2.5 to 3 second cooldown on his Q, his main damage, which seems a kind of a little bit ridiculous. But we can also read this as well, because these things give you a little bit more of an idea of how you're actually going to play the champion. I'm going to end this pretty soon. I don't want to make it too long. I'm sorry it's already dragged on, but I like to kind of cover it properly and like fully rather than rushing a video out that's a bit shorter. But getting there first, if that makes sense. I'd rather you guys at least watch something useful so you know what the champion's going to do. But anyway, the focus on cooldown reduction to unleash a constant onslaught, which makes sense because we literally just touched on the fact that he has like a 2.5 second cooldown on his Q. Bind them in place with Infernal Change, which is W, for a guaranteed guillotine. So that is basically saying you Q where your W is going to pull them into, and then it's going to smack them and knock them up as they are dragged back. So it's all about combo within the entire rest of your kit, but using your E and your Q together is really really important. Then you have your E part, which is actually Bloody Team Fights into fonts of health, because the more damage you deal AoE as well, the more health you're going to be healing back and stuff. And allies who shield and sustain for more swings will be rewarded with a frontline juggernaut. So basically saying, if you can keep this guy alive, he's probably going to take over the entire thing because he's healing anyway. He's doing a bunch of damage, has crowd control, and you just want to basically keep him alive for as long as possible. But these tips and tricks are really cool as well. Just very quickly, each cast moves the hitbox closer to AATROX, with the final swing of his greatsword crushing those immediately in front of him. So you want to be moving forward. The entire point is you are a frontline bruiser, basically. Combination of Deathbringer starts with his passive, reduction to your enemy's healing, and the dash as well to your own healing means he can go to head-to-head with the biggest, bulkiest foes. So obviously, he's doing a lot of damage. He's cutting their healing, but he's healing at the same time as that, if that makes sense. So as long as you're dealing damage, you'll be held to bring you down, which means you really just want to build full damage on this guy. It's not like a tank. It is like a full damage champion. Yeah, it's like it's ridiculous. But anyway, so use your ultimate early to rapidly join a fight from afar because of the move speed. Start filling the blood well as well. The longer you wage war in your true form, the more you're going to be recovering upon reviving. So the more you store, the more you're going to heal back. You can literally have to kill him twice pretty much. But yeah, that's going to be AATROX. His skins actually look seriously the same. That's pretty disappointing. But yeah, sure. His basically looks really cool. Thank you guys for watching the video, though. I don't want to drag it out any longer. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think of AATROX down in the comment section below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all in tomorrow's video.